All right, hello. All right, hopefully you guys can hear us at home. But we're live now, I think. Hopefully. Let me see. Maybe hopefully someone in chat says something, or if someone else has the stream open. Someone in chat, please say something.
Hello.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's going.
It's going? Okay, sweet. I wish there was a better way.
I had to catch up.
Okay.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. Fuck you, YouTube. All right. Welcome, guys. Surprise. Well, not really surprise, right? Because we said we were gonna have a cast on a Sunday, but it's not.
I
Are
was
we?
not under the impression that we were going to do this today because you were traveling.
Oh yeah, I got back really late. It's normally not gonna be around this time. I think. What was the time we decided, guys? Last time?
It's like 7 or something, 7 Central.
7 Central.
That's a little hard.
Depending
That's
on
too
more
hard.
midday.
Or more
I think that's
midday?
what we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it
post
out.
it
Whatever. It's on a Sunday. Just whatever. All right. Since we don't have cameras up this time, but starting in the 25th episode, we're gonna be on camera all the time moving forward, unless for some reason we can't be on camera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Oh, Nico, you
I
weren't
didn't
here.
sign up for this shit. What
Well,
the fuck?
too bad you're in now. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and introduce everyone that's here. We can just go down the line, like in whatever in Discord, just so everyone knows who's here. Start with Dean.
Hello, I am Dean. People know me.
All right. Understandable.
Yeah, I'm Hanson. Hello, everyone. Oh, yes, Kevin, I'm here.
Hi, I'm Dan from America. Hello, Rodrigo from Mexico.
Oh wait, yeah, I'm here, Kit, obviously.
Wow.
Then we have the Carmen of PGHY Shorn.
Oh, yes.
That's me.
And then we have
Nico's there too.
Nico's here,
I
the
guess I just have to
$1,000
skip
winner of the $1,000 event tournament in New Jersey. What a god,
Jesus.
playing Kaguya.
Yeah,
Probably a lot of Kaguya.
How much was the
viewers.
first place prize?
That
Yes,
event was
man.
so fucking
I let him
sucked.
go.
It was what,
I
200 for
punched it.
top price, Nico?
It was less than 200 for the top price, man. It was like, I think I got paid,
So scuffed.
I got 168 because I took the cash as opposed to store credit.
Ah, the smart
It
choice.
was
It was a really cool event. I remember seeing the picture of
I'm a
Jason.
big fan. Yeah, I was like, I'm a big fan of how Jason, who now
Just keeping
moved to
track of what
Logan-
strength of schedule by hand.
he had to do it by hand. It was
Oh my
it was a
God.
very cool tournament.
Well,
Very.
I mean, we weren't even gonna have it, and then like, unless
Does anyone have a picture of the mat to send a kid?
Oh,
to put
yeah,
on
please-
stream?
please
Oh, the
buy it.
mat.
Give
The
me the mat,
mat
I'll
is
throw
so
it up.
cursed.
It's on eBay. You can buy it. It says
Oh my
135
God.
gold.
$125.
Man.
There's no way.
No, 135 of the matches.
Let me see if I can find it. CGU TCG Fest mat, man. It's something else. Oh, it's on eBay.
Yeah, I told
There it
you.
is.
Link that
It's
shit.
so
Oh.
bad.
Where is it?
Yeah, hold on. I gotta open the image in a new tab. I'll DM it to you, kid.
Alright.
Here you go.
Yeah, I told
Yeah, put that on stream. This is what we got for our $60 entries. It was really weird. There were some rumors of why the tournament was being held, which were pretty funny. I won't repeat any of them here, but definitely not the most well-run event. Thankfully, Jason stepped up and judged day of.
Yeah. Shout out.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have had an event because the judge didn't show up.
Good shit.
Sick.
Pretty cool.
All right. Here it is. There it is, boys. There's the mat on stream. We'll just blow it up a little bit more for you guys. Dude, holy crap. I remember seeing this in the voice chat when you guys sent it over. I was just so confused, dude. Oh my god.
Somebody's kid.
Absolutely.
draw this.
It had to be some like, dude, my child drew this. We're throwing this on the mat, baby.
Yeah,
It's
that's really powerful.
the best part is it's like bad in the best cursed way possible, so it's not bad, but it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, thankfully we had something fire.
Yeah.
So it was a good weekend though. It was fun to hang out and see everybody.
Oh yeah. And then I don't want to spend too much time on this event. I wish it was advertised better. I literally didn't hear about it until like Jason was like, was it even Jason? I can't even remember. Someone was just like, there's a 1K in New Jersey. And we're like, what? And
It wasn't even that it was advertised poorly. It was you literally couldn't sign up for the event until like 3 weeks out.
Mhm.
The online app that they did was
You needed to sign up for this 13-man event.
yeah. It was no. They had a homebrew app where nothing was like completely ready, like with any foresight at all. So basically, it was our group from Pittsburgh, Nico, and like the New Jersey scene, and Hanson drove down, and that was like the event. Because like other people wanted to go, but like there wasn't enough lead time because like people literally couldn't register. So they were, as I know, Connor from Connor's English Corner wanted wanted to come out, and he was like, "Oh well, it's too late now. I can't orchestrate things like without like a month or two lead time." And I was like, "Yeah, totally understandable."
yeah, it sucks because like such a quote unquote big payout or what they were planning to pay out for the event, and just like not having enough of that time in advance to give people the opportunity to like get time off from work and stuff and fly out there, drive out there, right? Just kind of it's kind of rough
Yeah.
for the people that are willing to go, but just didn't get enough notice, which sucks. I mean, do you guys think it'll happen again?
Probably not. I think that store is
It's-
closing.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I heard rumors the store's potentially closing, but if it does happen, I don't think it's going to be ran by the same people.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to look up any drama about the event, you just look up stuff about the Pokemon event. Some good stories out of that one. Our one guy in our group, shout outs to Zach from Pittsburgh, competed in that, and he was saying it was quite a shit show.
Drama alert.
Yeah.
Let's get Keemstar up in here. He'll
Yeah.
cover the
Drama
event.
Nation or whatever he says. Holy shit.
For card game events though, there's actually this it's called TCG Con, which actually fired this weekend in Galveston. They had tournaments for like Pokemon, Digimon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh. I was talking to
Where is that?
one of the organizers, and they said they were looking to like if we get enough signups, they can actually like put Weiss as a main event as well.
Wait, where's this at?
Cool.
Or did it already happen? Or you said?
So they're planning multiple events.
Oh.
So this past weekend it was in Galveston. They have one coming up in Ohio in October,
in October. Oh, it's a couple months out.
Mhm. and then in December is Seattle, Washington.
Oh, look, damn. Maybe.
That's really
Some
far.
good picks,
I
yeah. I mean, Ohio's easy.
Oh,
And then I know
Ohio
that they're planning to do more next year because they originally were doing this 2020, but as we know, COVID hit.
oh, okay, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So it was pretty cool. They have vendor space. It's more of a tournament area than an actual convention,
hmm
but there's a lot of card games.
Ooh, might need to look into that then, especially if it's gonna come by Ohio. I mean, maybe we could even like set it up, help set
Looks
them
like
up.
it's
or
in
whatever.
Toledo.
What's up?
Yeah, Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah, that's not bad for me at all. Could bring a car again.
All right, might have to see if we can reach out and set something up. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah,
The Ohio one definitely sounds
yeah,
doable,
definitely for all of us. We're all within driving range, basically.
except poor Dan.
Dan, what
Yeah.
just
Dan
is?
is not
He's within driving range.
No one's like you, Dean, that will literally drive like 20 hours in one sitting.
Dude, Dean drove down here. He's actually insane.
Yeah.
It was easy, dude. One trip.
Oh, God, I hate you sometimes, Dean.
I hope it's one
It was
trip.
18 hours. 18 hours in one day. It
Oh
was
my
fine.
God.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
And then I did it again 2 days
Yeah,
later.
Ohio's only a 19-hour drive from.
Only a 19-hour drive. No problem.
God,
Like, oh, that's before stops.
I just I'd rather pay for a flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that rate.
Man, flying might actually just even cost like the same, dude.
With gas,
You
maybe
still, yeah,
better.
with gas and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess with that little discussion, we'll just jump into our first initial topic here. We're gonna talk about seven deadly sins, everyone's favorite new English Weiss set that just came out. We're gonna just kind of go over everyone's initial impressions. I don't want to say too much right now because I've only had experience playing against it. I haven't played the deck, but I'm from discussing with everyone else. I kind of like resonate with what they're saying. I guess should we let Carmen start off because he has the most spiciness or whatever.
Yeah, Carmen's probably
I don't
played it the
have-
most.
I don't
Carmen
have
has
the
played-
spiciness.
He also
But-
likes
Well, the most
everything
unfiltered.
that's unique.
I do hate everything. That is my brand. I hate it
only,
all.
He only likes Konosuba and Kaguya. Everything else is bad and unplayable.
Look, that's not true. But a lot of things are bad and unplayable. You're right. I am a hater by nature.
Yeah.
But
That's why he
Mm.
bought Fate Apocrypha.
I love Fate Apocrypha. Dude, UA challenged me. I got that shit on lock now. I'm ready anytime. Get that show match going. But anyway, so I'm on like somewhere between 20 and 25 games around there. I'd have to check my note thing. But okay, so I started on Door Choice, and then after that, moved to Door Standby, and then Door Bar. So that's what I've played so far. And I've watched some other people play like the choice deck, and I played into the 8 choice deck as well because Andy sleeved that up. Initial impressions. It feels like a shittier version of Sal 10th. Almost exactly the same. You play like overstated level 0s. The chaser's good at slowing the game down, kind of like how the Asuna like center runner was. And then you have the clean cut to like accelerate after you get that extra level 0 turn. Then the Elaine's like can sit big cross turn while being an on attack combo, and you can like back up to 8k with the Leafa counter and like try to cheese extra level 1 turns. Then you get like maybe 1-2 turns of extra attacks to give you your extra stock overhead to go into your finisher. You like play like a stock killer or whatever, like sort of tide you over, and then you go into either Meliodas or King, or you dirtle there with standby or whatever it is you're trying to do. Initial impressions of Meliodas, not good. I was pretty hopeful on the card. I don't think the anti-burn stuff does enough. I think that almost every deck, if your opponent's like thinking at all, they can find a way to skirt around it. I had waifu decks figure out how to skirt around it. Like doing stuff like top checking and like revealing a climax and like invalidating my first Meliodas burn. It was pretty cool. And then like all my healers were on the board and I won board, and then my board's clogged and I can't heal down. And I like slowly lose. But like, I don't know, Meliodas is a cheap healer with like kind of unfortunate timing is how I ended up looking at him. But I ended up just playing the King, like the Door Bar. It feels literally kind of like you play it exactly like Sal 10th. You just sit there and heal, and when you're ready to go for the game, you like destroy your deck state and try to kill them. But like, I don't know, the deck feels fine. It doesn't feel anything great, anything super unique or important. I think the Meliodas is pretty unfortunate. It's going to trap a lot of people. But I really don't think the card's that great. Even if you play super into it and you like field the full nut board, I think like most decks will find a way to like skirt around it and get some damage through, and then you can't stabilize because he's not like now. I think a lot of people have compared Meliodas to now, and I don't think the comparison is very apt at all because now is also flogging attacks by forcing sides.
Who's
Well, aren't you?
Well,
Who's
sides
comparing
still
it
get
to
the burns off.
Only against Meliodas. I'm talking about now shuts down everything because you don't have burns and they don't have attacks. So like you don't have to stabilize damage. Whereas with 7 Deadly Sins, once the Meliodas is down, you're really all in. You don't have any cards left to play. You don't have anything else left to do. And the thing is, you also can't heal because your cards don't die. So you're not like
You can't recur it. Yeah.
yeah, you can't recur it. You can't even play over it to heal again because you used your stock on the burns.
I mean, the idea behind Meliodas is right. You set him down. You play him down. You go to 3-0. He lives because he's 15k with a single Elizabeth, or 15-7-15 if you have the nut board, right? You burn them off turn after they heal down, right? So even if they go into attacks at 3-0, you're burning them during their attack phase, unless they have some way to get rid of it, which is really difficult. And then you're setting up for the second turn kill, right?
I guess.
But,
I've done this exact thing you're saying, like multiple games, and every time it's not enough, and every time I just get cracked back on and die. Well, not every time. So there were plenty of games where I did win, and it did work out, but it didn't feel as good as like playing the King. Giving your opponent any form of like agency over what can happen is just way too bad for me to want to play the card. That's not how I think you should be playing the game right now.
Because one thing you do still just die if they can get their finishing turn, which is what the anti-burn is supposed to prevent. But there are a lot of finishers that don't.
Yeah, it like weirdly doesn't stop a lot of things. I don't know, like even playing like what is it? I played into Hanson where Hanson was playing Mocha, and that was like terrifying because like Mocha scries too into your opponent's cancel. Like
So,
like
the
completely.
idea- Right,
Like-
Mocha doesn't push 7 damage in a single turn. For the
No.
most part,
She does not.
which is fine because you're supposed to be winning on the backswing, right?
Ideally, yes.
Yeah. But it does leave a lot up in the air versus proactive finishes that can just kill from 3-0.
I really think the king is like good enough for you to play. It's boring. It's not unique,
Yeah.
but
Both
if you
are kind of
play it,
boring.
if you play it in the way that you just slam it down as a healer, and when your opponent's ready to die is the time you go for it. The combo's off a bar. There's no reason why you shouldn't have it. I think it ends up working a lot better in the deck's favor to just play a more vanilla kind of strategy with a cost-efficient finisher like that. Depending on your deck state, of course. Like I can't stress it enough. It's like Sal 10th, but English doesn't have Sal 10th. So if you want to play that kind of game,
Don't
can
know
play
if you have
that.
enough deck control to set up a good king turn.
you have like enough. You don't have it like
It
any
mills-
good.
Doesn't
Yeah.
it mill enough cards that it doesn't even matter?
It mills
Mill
6.
6, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're doing multiples, right?
If you're doing multiple,
Yeah, the idea is you do 2 to 3, and then you're getting rid of your deck at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
But
Yeah.
like you still want your deck to be in a good you want to be compressed so you can take advantage of that compression, right?
especially
sounds like
because
that
the card
2-1 vanilla
heals.
gets good.
That's
Like-
why you do it when.
It sounds like
That's why you only do it when your opponent's ready to die. You're otherwise just. If you're at 3-0, what I actually really like about the deck is if you're playing Dorbar, right? And the same thing can be said about the Meliodas, right? If you're like drawing up at 3-0 or like 3-1 and you can play another healer or something like that, you can always go for the Bond finisher. The Bond finisher is like aggressively costed enough to be played if you can snipe a lane. And like in Dorbar, you're probably playing like, one of the other 2-1 back row that makes the Bond better. So like, because that card's pretty good. It's just like a global 1k with like a tap give 1k and an extra 1k to that Bond. So like you're going to get that reverse snipe. So if you're at like a low level 3 and your deck's in a good enough state that you're like, oh, I can go for an alternative finishing combo, you can push a little bit of damage and then 2-turn with the king finisher, which felt pretty good. I don't know. The deck feels better as Dorbar to me, but like again, I really don't like the idea of passing back to my opponent with Meliodas, no matter how shut downy or efficient he may be. I don't like giving my opponent like any opportunity to do a thing, especially when I could pull out plenty of other decks that are, in my opinion, better than Seven Deadly Sins that don't give my opponent the opportunity to do that, like Kaguya. So that's just kind of my first 25 games thoughts on it. I've talked a lot actually here. It's just been me and Dan. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I mean,
I
Go
think that you're like, I think he's kind of like discounting the Melodious like play style a bit. Like you're talking like, oh, your opponent like sits here and scries a bunch and then they attack into it. It's like if you have 3 Meliodas and you just saw them scry until they saw a climax, you just go, okay, I'm not going to burn in this land. I'm going to conserve that stock. Like, I don't know. I think it's like the only viable like defensive deck that's left now due to like Dal.
no,
existing.
I totally disagree with that. I think Dal is actually better defensive deck than this deck is by like a long shot, especially if you start including the 3-3 event.
I'm saying defensive top end. Defensive top end. Sorry.
That's
I mean, you just swap to the bar because the bar combos in Dal is probably one of the best Nexal combos.
I mean,
It's just overshadowed by everything
It's-
else in
it's
Dal.
not
It's just
even-
the fact that like
it's not even that. Like, I think the issue here is, at least this is from me playing into it, and from what you're saying, is that Meliodas, like its effects wants you to play like a defensive like no to your opponent game, but there's no other tools in the set to like guarantee you that like 2-turn kill, like kind of like in ReZero you have the tap counter and stuff like that to force multiple turns at level 3, right? Where people have to play awkwardly against your field. Whereas this is just like, here's my effect. If you have a way to answer it or do anything, you still get to do damage to me, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if they would have had like an aggressively costed, like very, what's the right word? Like very specific to that board state, like defensive counter. to maybe
Look.
fog some amount of damage. Yes, it would be too good, but like I think it would go a long way.
Look, I just know that Carmen told me I'll never be able to play 3 mobs down, and like he's been very wrong in the past on these English exclusives. So I am going to.
You
I'm
did
going
beat
to withhold
Riaz
the time.
with Mob.
I'm going to
But
withhold my.
we all
feelings
watched it
for a bit.
happen.
What's it called?
I mean, by all means, I hope everyone goes to try to prove me wrong because I want Meliodas to be good because he does read sick, and I wish that card
I mean, it might be like the
ends up
Reagan.
being better.
It might just be the wrong top end.
Yeah, it might be. Like as much as I like the Reagan, I can't deny that the Restander ends up being better and easier to pull off a lot of the time.
But there is only. I do think it's kind of sad. There's only like 2 top ends in the set.
What
that are,
if-
like, viable.
What if the play is just to double Meliodas and hold stock for counter? For
Oh,
tap
I did
counter?
that too.
Double sounds bad though.
Does double
I-
sound bad?
I tried
The-
playing into double.
Well, the problem with the double is they get the 1 lane to do stuff in, and like
Yeah,
if you're doing
honestly.
that, that's all they need, right? Because like your deck's not doing a ton.
Because
Like,
you're
you're
also
not
not
gonna-
stopping attacks. You're not stopping attacks in the Meliodas lanes. It literally
You're
comes
not
down
stopping
to that.
any attacks in any lane ever.
Exactly.
Isn't the worst
They
thing
do
about the
get the lane card
Meliodas?
burn, though.
Isn't the worst thing about the Meliodas the fact that like when you play it down, even if it ends up becoming like an elongated game because of like the like the no burns, right?
Yeah.
You slam it down, you
Mhm.
slam a climax, you maybe stick like 3 damage, 3 to 6 damage, right? They go to
Mhm.
level 3, you burn a couple times. If you want to have that threat of the burn again, you get in a weird situation, right? Because it's like they don't have a board at level 3.
And you have to slam an overswing, yes.
You
Yeah,
either
I've been in
don't
that
have a
situation
situation, or
again.
you like play over your board, and then like
Mhm.
what was the point of the no burns, right?
And your proactive option for a finisher requires a reverse if you want to pivot into the bond at any point. So it's like you really shit out of luck in those situations where you're forced to either play down another choice and overswing or like try to vanilla swing for game.
Is there a sack counter in the set that you can sack? You wouldn't have any. There's no way you have
I
sack.
think there's a sack counter, right?
Yeah, there is. It's a pay 3 overall sack counter,
There's
unfortunately.
no way you have the stock. After
Yeah, you
that.
do not have the stock. You don't even have the stock to play additional healers after Meliodas is down. Like again, I can't stress this enough. You really are like your game is over once the Meliodas is on the field. You are playing no additional cards. You are vanilla swinging after that point. Your game is done. There is nothing else that you will do because you will not have any resources to do anything more.
I don't know. It sounds like the focus of the build should be to like generate as much stock as possible. Then
I mean, even then, like it's 8 stock, right? 7 to 8 stock. Sorry.
I know you want to push this 2-1 vanilla thing, but I don't think even
not only the 2 in vanilla, you have the Hawk, the like yellow card that's like tab 2 on reverse blind stock. Like you have like ways to start generating more resources in the set.
That type of profile typically generates like 1 or 2 extra stock a game.
chat wants to
Starting
ask
from
about standby
level
door.
It sucks.
Completely worthless, no matter how I built it. There is no point in playing the quote-unquote value standby because all the value you could get for doing something, even something super cheeky, by putting out like Meliodas early is completely worthless because nothing in English is burning at level 2, except for like
Right.
Kaguya if it gets a reverse.
Well, and it only anti-burns in the Meliodas lane, which is
Well,
really
Kaguya is
fair.
not even going to be burning you at 2 unless they like
Get
get
a
really
reverse.
lucky.
Yeah.
Well, no, they get lucky because they're going to need to stand by out a Kaguya, and they're
When
usually
stand by
gonna-
door, not stand by choice.
Yeah, standby door. I'm talking about like I played standby door without the Meliodas, and I played standby door with
Oh, you're just using him
Meliodas.
as a raw body because he's
a
Yeah.
raw body, and he's massive, and he has the anti-burn. It was a
And he's
cute
a heal.
idea,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
there's
it's a nice idea.
there's really no point in doing it because nothing in the meta is like it's not like we have like fucking Symphogear that's
Yeah.
burning you for 2 at level 2. Like it's literally just Sunshine, right? Like it's Sunshine, and if your opponent goes to 3 first, and like yeah, like I was talking to Kevin about this, and it's like okay, red pill me on like the value of why you'd want to do this, and I did sleeve it up, and I played 3-4 games with it, and I was like, this deck is doing nothing more than door choice was. And it's hitting like it's not hitting any like better timings with getting these cards out. It's just some games I have a 2-2, like which is kind of cool, I guess. I have a single 2-2. and I can have one with a bad power condition, or I can have a 11K in a bad color. I don't know. It was a cool idea though. It was worth sleeving up and trying, but unfortunately, not as good. I think if you want to play Seven Deadly Sins, you either play Door Choice and you accept the drawbacks of the Meliodas, or you play Door Bar and you play a really boring deck. That's it's like a like, I don't know, it's like a blunt stick. Like you can beat someone down with it, but like, there's no finesse there.
I just gotta say, when I was playing with Shoko against you and you were playing that build, I thought it was really funny. I happened to have the Eris early plays and just kept burning you anyway.
You were burning me in main space. I was like, oh yeah, really sick.
I was like, all right. Oh man.
That card will be in English. They will be in English. So. Not whatever. Yeah, if SDS had 8 standby, it would actually be pretty sick. Honestly, they do have a lot of really good tools to facilitate an 8 standby deck. Don't have good targets, but even if they had another standby, I think it would be cool to see like someone see like what could have been, like someone plays an 8 standby SDS deck to see what could happen, because they do have a lot of good tools for it. That would be like a cool video that someone could do. But what can you do? Hope for a second set. There was, and most of the art was from season 1, right? Same as Mob, so there's hope. Crossing our fingers. For second English sets, man. Second English sets would be so cool. I hope they do that. Mob set 2 would be sick. SDS would be sick.
I don't think they would, just because I feel like they're more like wanting to push more of like the new IPs they grabbed instead of trying to work new sets.
Yeah, they just want to kind of grab like things to get people into the game with these English.
Yeah.
Will Rudy profit from his mountain of mobs?
Mob would actually be insane if it ever got a second set.
Yeah, if Mob got a second set, Mob would be
is already insane.
Like,
yeah, I think
you fucking cowards,
Dean. I think the only time a second,
Dean, you don't gotta convince me. You don't gotta convince me.
A second set gets printed in English for like a English exclusive. I think the only way that happens is if the set sells insanely well, right?
Yeah.
At that point, they'd have to be like, okay, we have to print a second set if we have the opportunity to, because it's easily going to sell a lot, right?
I think SDS probably sold a lot. The people love these shonen anime. Which, I don't know. In my local scene, at one of our news stores, which one of our locals works at, he's been saying it's like a lot of people like have grabbed trial decks, like people who have never played Weiss before, and we're like asking if that store had a Weiss day. They don't yet, but we're working on it.
Nice.
Capture some new talent, which would be cool.
Ooh.
But I don't know. Keep your ears to the ground in your local scene. See if there's any new players picking it up. I think it will. That show is a lot more popular than I think any person who's entrenched in the anime fandom would like to admit, but is what it is. It's got that Toriyama-esque art style, which people dig up.
Honestly, before this, the only reason I ever heard of it was because I've seen those pictures online of like really funny looking steel frames from the series that were like quote unquote quality. Yeah. That was my only exposure to this anime before the set came out.
Because I think it was season 3 where they switched studios.
Mm-hmm.
To Dean.
It was to Dean, right? Yeah. What a tragedy.
They make good
season 1 and 2 was fine, and then Dean took over, and it was
fuck you, Dean.
I ruin everything.
Tragedy.
Fuck you, Dean.
Oh man.
Actual tragedy.
But no, by all means, bringing it back to Weiss. Someone please prove me wrong. Someone crack the Meliodas. Someone make it feel as good as it reads, and I will happily sleeve it and come on and shout your praises and worship you, because I do wish that card ended up working out better. But I think I'm gonna just leave Door Bar sleeved and in the supply set box I have it in, and it will sit there until someone asks to borrow it, because I think I'm done.
Oh, just like shiny colors.
What? Shiny colors?
Carmen owns shiny colors?
I do not have shiny colors.
My shiny colors is
That's what Dan did with shiny
I'll
colors.
give you $5 for shining colors right now, Dan.
No.
I just want to play Symphogear, dude. I want my brain off. bar down, brain off, bar down, opponent dead. Like,
Wait. When's
I remember
when's
dying
the
in that
ban list
combo.
come out? Is it next week or something?
no way it
Okay.
gets hit.
No.
It's too
No.
new.
December,
It's gonna
no?
get hit.
In December.
It is
End of
the
year.
most represented deck in that tournament that
What
report
is
that I saw. Symphogear.
Oh man,
It was
No
the most
way.
represented deck.
Oh,
It's
okay,
so
listen.
disgusting.
Know what they're gonna
What?
do? They're gonna put a choose one or two, the choice combo or the bar combo, and we're sick. We're
Just
nasty.
play the bar.
At that
Done.
point, I think you probably play.
you played my bar combo because my deck is sick. Fuck you guys. All right,
No, it isn't.
it
shit.
is. You're just a pussy because you're too baby to try it out, and also you don't own the cards. But you're a bitch.
I did buy the card.
Oh
actually.
hell yeah! Play it. You'll know the power. All right. Anyway,
It's unstoppable.
There is
I
no
hate it.
power.
that's the point. Your opponent thinks there's no power, and then they lose. It's the best. All right. Anyway. Unironic, like, not to go off on too big of a tangent about Symphogear, I unironically think it's like one of the best decks currently in Japanese. Which,
Yeah, no shit.
yeah,
kid.
dude,
Who would have
legitimately.
thought that being able to triple mocha your opponent from 2-0 along with healing, and then being
Yes.
able to loop that fucking mocha the next turn? Who
So-
would have thought that's pretty good?
I have a story about that.
I hate it so
I
much.
sat down against Andy in like finals of our local, and I was playing the Rougerd, which is like just a worse version of the Symphogear stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen." As I like popped the shit back to my hand and do it again, and I was like, "Wait till next week after I have Symphogear." Now I have it because I picked it up off Jason. We were in Jersey.
Oh my god.
But, it's not going to get hit because it's too
No,
new.
I can
They
feel
never
it. It's
ban-
gonna get hit. I feel
No.
it.
It's
there's
really
no way.
disgusting. It's really
I unironically
disgusting.
believe it should be hit. Will it be hit or not? We don't really know. If it gets hit, I
I
wouldn't
think
get
it'll
surprised.
get hit. I don't think it would get hit on this ban list because they have to take care of Niji first because they also don't like that deck existing.
Yeah, has chat imagine
can't believe
Sympho
we
getting
went
banned,
from meme
curse broken.
I can't believe we went from meme to like ban list worthy in one booster.
Yo, Jason, unironically, the fucking the bar version.
Standby Jason, they weren't playing Standby Jason. They were all playing 1K1 decks. Okay, if they were playing Standby, I would have said it was better. The Rougerd is a better version of that shit when they're playing Standby. It is a board breaker.
If you need to
Jason's
break
right about
board,
that.
then yeah. But I think generally, even not breaking board is good for the Symphogear deck. But that's a totally different discussion. Like I think Nico and I are gonna do a video on Symphogear hopefully pretty soon. We just need to like talk about it more, and then we'll throw it up on the channel.
Do you want on for that video also, Carmen?
No, don't hit Bandori. Bandori
would.
sucks.
There's no way.
I put off buying Symphogear for my entire Weiss career because it was like a deck that I'd play and then hate myself because it wasn't good enough. But the second they became good, I was scrambling trying to pick up the deck. I was like, finally, I could play
Fake
one of my
fan.
favorite shows. I am a
Yeah,
fake
I
fan.
bought playsets of that shit, and I was like, dude, Symphogear sucks so much I don't even want to sleeve this. I just never touched those cards, but I owned the playset, and man, did it pay off with those Rickies we needed for the
Yep.
deck.
I'm like,
Watch
man, I'm
those
so
Ricky's
glad I
on
didn't have
station
to-
for what is it? Fucking mega money. He like Omega plus on that shit. He picked them up for like $3.
Oh, what a god!
And yeah.
All right,
All right,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
moving
we
on. Anybody else have anything else about Seven
yeah.
Deadly
Does
Sins?
anyone want to put
We kinda
anything
got
in
off topic.
about 7 Deadly Sins before we move on?
Just wait. I'll solve it. Well, maybe not.
It's really cheap right now, so it's prime
You can
time.
figure
to buy
something out, Dean.
singles.
Send me the list.
It doesn't matter if it's cheap or not. It can keep going down. Look at Mob.
I saw the people were selling play sets of Seven Deadly Sins for like $150.
That
Yeah.
probably too much.
On a,
I mean, if you want to get into the game, the deck is very competent. For all the trashing I just did, you could do so much worse than Seven Deadly Sins.
The English
do you
exclusives
hit?
in general have been really
Right.
good ever since Batman.
honestly, if you're
You hit the chaser.
if you're
slime.
new to Weiss and like trying to get competitive and like as a better player, Seven Deadly Sins is probably a really cheap, semi-competitive deck right now. At least is what we see right now. That has like enough in it to like teach you like good mechanics, right? You guys would think that from what I've seen.
Yeah, 100%. You're probably playing Mogro at level 1, which I think is one of the best ways to teach people about deck state, being on top of your deck state. A lot of good tools. You have like, no matter what you're doing, I think you're playing the door, so you have like a modular end game. So you can like have some foresight of how you think the game is going. You can be rewarded for your thinking and your sculpting, which is cool. I think it's a great deck that like teach you how to play the game. The level 0 is super solid. You can go slow or go fast, so you get to learn when you should go slow and when you should go fast at level 0, which is really cool because you have like the chaser to slow the game down, and you have the clean cut to speed the game up. So you can really determine like the flow of the level 0 game, going who goes to level 1 first and stuff like that. You have all the tools to kind of like do that, which is what the good decks are doing. So, you know, I think Kit's right. I think it does have like all the tools to teach you how to play the game. So if you're looking to like just jump into White Shorts and you're watching this highly competitive content right now, go out there and pick up some 7 Deadly Sins on the cheap.
This
Can't
show's
beat
really
Apocrypha
popular,
while
right?
you're at it.
Yeah, 7 Deadly Sins is extremely popular in the West.
So do you think it's just like all the collectors that have opened it, right? So like maybe in like a year or two, the set might go up, or it might be like Mob. Might
Has
sit
Mob
at
been a year,
$100.
2 years yet?
Mob has been almost a full year, and it is.
What was
sitting
the
at
December
$100.
release, right?
It
I
is
haven't
getting
looked at
cheaper.
Mob.
The most expensive card's $5, Carmen.
It is
Really?
getting cheaper. It is getting cheaper by the day.
Mob is actually like another totally good set to pick up for a beginner. Damn.
All right, guys, we kind of keep going off here. Any last thoughts on 7 Deadly Sins? Otherwise, forever hold your peace.
Dex, whatever.
Put it in S tier. I'll figure it out.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I remember when you said that.
You know, okay.
last decade.
Unironically, I
Give it
need,
to Madhouse.
I need to get a clean recording of that, and because I'm gonna set up like the nation messages and subscribe messages, and every time someone like donates, it'll just be Dean's voice going, "Put it in S tier. I'll figure it out." Or some dumb shit like that.
Pulled that one, Dean. That was bad.
No, where's the S tier lost decade listing? I'm still waiting on that.
You saw it in the fight against Ollie.
Oh man.
He knocked you down.
He had things that were bigger than a vanilla. It was a little bit rough.
Oh my god. All right, guys, we're moving on. The last topic we kind of have today, unless we get into some other tangent here, is something that came up in a discussion before, and watching a lot of videos and people talking about standby in general, and like how the meta has shifted into basically standby heavy. So like most of the best decks in English either play some amount of standby in it, right? And like the best deck in English right now plays 8 standby. But I've noticed this. I feel like Dean's noticed this as well, and a couple other players here have noticed it, that a lot of people have monkey brain is the best way to describe it, because it's not, honestly, it's not their fault. It's not their fault.
We're not even trying. We're not even trying to hold back, are we?
No,
huh?
fuck it. So
Okay.
it's not, I don't believe it's really their fault, especially if this is like their main card game. A lot of the normal decks in this game, even if they have different playstyles, they all are super homogeneous and play the same way, especially if it's like 1k1 decks.
Homogeneous.
So everyone's always like slamming and trying to push damage and stuff like that. Whereas standby decks, for the most part, have a different tempo, is I guess the best way to describe it, to their game plan than other decks. And then there are scenarios.
Forbidden Wars.
There are scenarios where like you don't want to push damage or anything like that, or you kind of want everything to slow down a lot more, but people are still like fucking monkey brain, slam 3/1/1s and just lose their entire board and lose their entire hand and can never keep up with the game. So I guess I'm gonna leave it a little bit more to you guys, and I'll just jump in occasionally. Like,
Okay.
wait,
I mean, like, yeah. So, like, I know what you're saying, because like playing Dow. I mean, Dow is probably the worst feeling deck I've ever touched in my entire life.
I think okay, Dean. I think that's literally because of your local meta.
Well, no, not even the local meta, like, right, like, because, like, okay, yeah, like, into AT, Dow can't beat AT, like, actually can't. But into something like a Dow mirror, right, when you're just sitting there, and, like, how you play the Dow mirror, because you guys don't know, I don't care about Day-Day Live at all. I've kind of drifted away from Japanese, so I've mostly been playing English and focusing on English, since, that's what we go to tournaments for. So I didn't touch the Dow mirror during the time it was in Japanese.
Got him.
Playing the Dow mirror now is like, what was it I had to do? I had to level swap, because you play that field swap or the 1/1 bomb, and I like level swapped in front of a 2/2, and then I had to like pay 3 encore my level swapper when he tried to like So I had my board, right, and I had the 1/1 like the field swapper, and my little Shidoed my field swapper, and I had to pay 3 encore it just so I could field swap, so I could hold like a 2/2 on the board, and it's like, and then like the next turn I wasn't like able to clock draw because like I needed to like preserve my deck state, because I had managed to like win the board for the turn, but I was on like a 3-card hand with 0 stock, and it like. I think when you're playing like those board-based decks, you have to like only focus on the board, not really focusing on your hand so much. And I
Like-
think that like a lot of people are like bad, like they're so used to the only thing they have to care about is their hand and their deck, and so like they don't look at the board because the board just replaces itself every turn.
Yeah,
right?
it's part of the reason why I think like a lot of people accidentally fall into this monkey brain state, basically, because every deck for the most part, outside of standby decks, like especially eight standby decks, people always have like 6 cards in their hand. And when people have a 3-card hand, they feel like they're losing, even though they're winning the board every turn, nonstop, never having to replace anything. Maybe they have to replace 1 card or something, right? But then they feel like they're constantly in a losing state just because they have a 3-card hand, and they don't pay attention to the matchup at all, and they just think about they're so zoned in on themselves. Go ahead, sorry.
The people who have only played the 1K1 decks, they don't understand the idea of like bleeding hand to invest in board early to recoup hand later.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the early game with 8 standby decks, you are going to bleed hand. Like that is how the decks work. You're gonna bleed your hand resource to invest in your board. But then once your board is established and you got the like backups going, and God forbid with 8 standby Dow, you got the scries going, right? So you're like cheating extra turns. Like you should start recouping hand over time, but yes, it is slow. You are going to play on a lower card hand more often, and people are uncomfortable with that.
I think
Especially
Dow actually
in the
has
early
it really fucking easy when it comes to like recouping hand though, because their bounce back card for like standby is their fucking brainstorm, and you're kind of incentivized a lot of the time to use that brainstorm. If you hit, that's
That
more
brainstorm
hand your
is-
way.
That I dislike that brainstorm because of how much stock everything uses, and then like brainstorming with
Wait, what?
Yeah, what amount of stock are you using?
Stock are you using?
use all your stock. I never have any stock with that deck. That deck, every
What?
single thing costs
What are
stock.
you spending stock
What are
on?
you burning stock on?
The free fresh counters, like all kinds of stuff, dude. You just never have stock in that deck.
What are you talking about?
Dean, I
Yeah, I don't know. I think
The one
you're
issue
doing
I
something
never
wrong.
have with Data Live is stock, my guy.
I never sit above like 4 to 5 stock. That
You
deck
are
is
doing
that deck's
something
so
wrong.
bad, dude. No. And then
We
like,
gotta
another-
workshop this, dude.
and
You're
then-
doing something wrong.
With what you're saying, right? Like, okay, so you have your 2 cards. You play down your brainstorm. You tap your other card in the back row. You hit. What do you get? What do you get? A
Counters.
counter. That's it.
Early play, counter, early
Counters,
play,
early play.
extra
You can-
Kurumis.
Yeah, I was like, you
Yeah.
can also grab
End game.
Kurumis for
I'm
free
aware,
turn.
but I'm saying like your like actual like searches off the brainstorm are like very like eh.
A lot of the times you can also get like if you're thinking like you're like one of your
Arisu,
It's
you get
it's like-
Arisus and Drop Salvagers, and those are both also really good targets.
Arisus and drop salvagers help you both
what?
dig into standbys or sequence your attacks correctly.
Yep.
To make sure you're hitting the right standbys. That's like part of the strength of the deck, right? You're like always recurring those 2 cards throughout the game.
I'm aware of what you're saying, but it sounds like you're losing board. It sounds like you're heavily losing
no.
board with what you're saying because
You're,
like,
you're
saying,
only
what because brainstorm at level 1, right? That's it. Because like I'm saying like after like my first turn at level 1, I never brainstorm again. Like that thing never hits the board again.
okay. It bounces back every turn. Why wouldn't you brainstorm?
Because you don't have the spots to put it on, and anything you search with it
Bounces
is
back.
garbage. You would
It bounces
rather
back.
hit the standby on your attack. No, it doesn't matter that it bounces
All right,
back.
guys, we're
You
kind
guys
of
have
jumping
to-
around. I want this more to be about general standby shit instead of just
Okay,
specifically Dow.
Yeah, general standby. Okay, so we're getting off the Dow. We're getting off the Dow because I don't like this argument. The thing is that people do need to like start looking at the board more when they're playing the 8 standby, and they always need to be thinking about how can I develop my board, and can I hold this board? And if you hold that board, it's the same thing as if you had 3 extra cards in your hand. Think of it that way.
Yeah, pretty
What do
much.
you have?
Like, I think one thing outside of that about, recognizing the board state and how your opponent can actually affect your board. one other thing too, I see people do sometimes that like, well, it doesn't trigger me because I usually win because of it. Is like, I will like literally use my plussing combo at 1 against an 8 standby deck, and I will literally grab 3 early plays right off of it because my next turn just gonna be I'm gonna dump out my hand again, right, and hopefully break their board that way. One of the strengths of standby, unironically, is it doesn't push damage at 1. So there's a lot of times where your opponent is like literally going to be stuck at level 1, and they're like, "Crap, my hand is 3 level 3 is a climax and like 2 other random cards." It forces them to clock. It forces them to do weird things like Ricky themselves and take more damage that they shouldn't be taking anyway, just to maybe possibly like fight your board. And like I think a lot of people don't pay attention to what their opponent gets from like their plussing combos, especially at 1. If you have a type of deck that can kind of control the pace of the game by not swinging as much damage, or even into in matchups where you're both playing 1k1 decks, sometimes if you see your opponent do something like that, I don't see people ever like hold back from slamming a climax. Usually people are like monkey brain, they go, "Oh, climax deals more damage, I'm gonna slam it down and woohoo 3-3-3," and and go like that, and you end up pushing your opponent into the exact scenario they were prepared for, right?
Yeah, it's like you've never seen you ever sat across from the slime players where they grab 3 Shizus off their 1-0 combo
And
when
then
they're
you
at like
stop their
1-2, and then you're 8 standby and you attack like 1-1-2, and like they cancel once and they're at level 1 and they're like, "Oh, I don't have any level 1s left in my deck to play. Guess I lose the game." Like that kind of stuff happens all the time. People aren't that great at playing into the 8 standby either, which is like another part of it as well, I think.
Yeah.
But like in those situations, like you said, like like they grab the 3-2s, right? Like they grab their early plays, and then they don't consider that like, oh, my opponent's only going to be attacking for like 1-1-1 this turn because I have cards out, unless they're they're standby deck, right? So like thinking ahead when you're playing 8 standby and playing into 8 standby, you have to think about what the board state's going to be on future turns.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm getting at.
It's kind of like standby compared to other decks is like rewards you more for thinking and sequencing things better than your opponent, right?
Yeah, that's the idea.
A lot of games of chicken where you go, "I'm going to side attack."
Yep.
And then sometimes when you choose to front attack, you have to pay 3 encore to keep your board. It's pretty simple.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I think the worst thing about those are the 8 standby decks, at least, especially in like the mirror, right? Is the fact that they're like all bigger on defense than they are on offense. Because like the standby doesn't give power, and all of those decks play a bunch of counters.
It depends on the decks. A lot of decks have their bounce back card give either cross turn or on turn power to shove them over. I've been playing a good bit of like 8 standby original Sal recently, and that deck has like infinite on turn power. So, but which is really nice because I do think like especially Dow's the one with it has gated on attack power, but really high defensive power spikes. So, like, you do get in those situations where Dean is saying, where it's like, yeah, you're, like, side attacking because you need to preserve your board. And sometimes that's the right play when you know you can win on defense and open up the lane. Like, sometimes the side for 1 or 0 is, like, a necessary evil.
And then your opponent's side for 0, and you go sick game. And 2 turns and no damage has been dealt.
Well, ideally you're the 8 standby deck. That should be a positive for you because you want to take the game long. But
it's also the 8 standby. The problem.
Oh, okay. We're talking about mirrors now. Okay.
Standby into like these like 1k1 decks. Yeah, like there's like a lot, but like the mirror is like an entirely different beast, right?
It's like I don't know. You're like playing 4D chess when you're playing 8 standby mirrors sometimes, depending on the specific matchup.
Because like what you're saying right now, right? Like we're talking about like preserving hand, be willing to go on like aggressive board building early, and this is all for like 1k1 decks, right? Where like their power levels are like tend to be a little bit lower than yours on average, like on turn power. But what about when you're in the 8 standby mirror?
Those games are ridiculous. I mean, we have a perfect game on our channel that it like exemplifies that, right? Anime Evo.
Oh
Both
man, that
players
was
there
next
knew
level.
exactly what the strengths of their deck were and how to like abuse that, and that's why like we literally had this clock draw 2 pass war started happening, because the first person that committed to board would generally start losing the game because they're the ones constantly on the back foot instead of having the hand, having the characters to replace their board and stuff like that, because you know your opponent can match your power or even blow up your board with like the 1-0 event or something like that, right? So like in mirror matches like that, you got to play incredibly slow and know when you need to be aggressive and when not to be. Oh, so quiet all of a sudden.
Well, yeah,
I'm,
we were
I'm
letting
just
you talk.
trying. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like more examples of like common 8 standby things I see like newer players do, or people who only play English who don't play a lot of standby.
Attacking in wrong order is like a huge thing.
Oh yeah. Poor attack
like-
order.
If you're gonna lose a lane, like always attack with that first. Always try to like open up a lane in the back row. This is the biggest one. Don't play clean cuts. If you have 8 standby, you do not put a clean cut in your deck ever.
I wouldn't say
At all.
specifically never, but you have to be aware of like if you're going to use a clean cut this turn, there's a chance you hit standby and your clean cut doesn't do shit for you.
Sal. You do it in Sal, but that's because you usually like 2 attack turns and half the cards in your deck are back row cards. But like that's a very special case. I think more often than not, Dean's right. Like clean cut can fuck you up.
Yeah,
if you're
like,
not really on top of it.
Clean cuts are already cards that you play. I'm like actually been struggling with like the actual how good clean cuts are, especially like in the current meta. But even when you have the option, not even like the being denied, but even when they are happening, how good of like a card they are. Because like half the time it's like you save a card and it like if it's not a high quality card, then it's like you just have this card chilling in your back row for the rest of the game, or you have to like lose a lane. So like clean cuts and their actual quality, I question. But then when you put them into standby, right, where they've only got like this 2-turn window, and then like they can also just randomly be super awkward when you make plays for them. If you hit a standby, I just think that like clean cuts are good in 1K1 decks where you want to recur combos, you want to recur these cards. But like in these 8 standby decks where you want to just be building board, you generally don't want to be saving a random 0. And then it gets super awkward when you do go for the clean cut play and like you've got the one spot open, you hit the standby on the first attack, and it's like, okay, what do I do here?
It's keeping in line with like the idea of like how you're playing the level 0 and like why clean cuts like wouldn't be ideal a lot of the time in a standby deck. Clean cuts are typically cards at level 0 that are accelerating the game state because they're pushing your opponent to level 1 because you're attacking typically 3 times when you're playing a clean cut, or at least 2 times. So you're moving the game faster, you're accelerating the pace of the game. A lot of the time, when you're playing 8 standby especially, you want to grind the level 0 to an absolute halt. So a big thing I've seen people do, especially with like 8 standby Dow, when they're either newer or like people who have really, like the English players we're talking about, who they've only ever played 1K1 decks, they like slam down, like I've seen like people slam down 3 Toka Arisus at level 0 and attack 3 times.
Powerful.
And I'll be like, okay, you've lost the game, and they're going like, what? I don't understand. And I was like, you've lost the game, and like I have to sit there and play out another 4 or 5 turns to show them. It's just like, you lost the game on turn 1. They'd be like, but there was so much more game there, and I was like, you don't understand. Like you ruined the entire like idea of your deck by like playing the level 0 incorrectly.
I think 8 standby being less skillful than a 1K1 deck is very, very incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about this comment in chat? I wasn't going to touch on it. I think standby decks are actually far more skill testing than 1K1 decks.
Test mechanics much more than 1K1 decks are, because 1K1 decks are a lot more straightforward. They also have a lot of tools that can make up for your lack of mechanics. Whereas standby, it's literally all you for the most part. Niji Kasaki is kind of a special case.
I think one thing too, I think we kind of touched on this. I know we talked a lot about stuff. no one ever really thinks about the board being a resource. You only have 5 spots to put characters down, and when you play standby, you generally don't lose your board. So you actually lose out on access to more spots than other decks normally would, where they could play cards there, crash them in, and get something out of it. Whereas like they can just drop searchers there to fix their hand because they screwed up and made bad plays to like try to fix their own issues. Whereas like standby, you have to make sure you're making good solid plays all the time, because that's another resource you can't necessarily like abuse like other decks that constantly lose their field, right?
Except for the best 8 standby deck.
Yeah, you don't have
Adventure
the
Time.
ability to take care of like things with like on death effects, like crashing and cheeries, like you have to like stand by over cheeries and stuff sometimes. So it's like weird to like get mill, which I know was like a big argument for like actually playing My Little Shido and like pre-Bandao back when that was happening, because that's mill that doesn't take up a board slot. Resting a character down is like fine. And like that was a big argument for like keeping that card in the list, and you know, we all know how that like panned out. Yellow is a little bit rough. So it ended up not making the cut over stuff like the 1/1 Yoshino and just being better.
When you guys are talking about the Azusa, like overplaying on like the Cheeries, Fukas, as we like to call them in English.
Yeah, we were
yeah.
Cheeries in English. Cheeries in English card mean you're gonna play Excel
It
World.
is Excel World.
Oh,
They have both. They
wow,
have two
that's
dragons.
not a real set.
What do you mean? That's where
Listen,
the
I
term
go to the
Cheery
website-
came from.
I go to the
That's not
website,
a
it's
real
on the list
stat.
of sets in English, so you're wrong.
Okay, well, I've seen it twice.
No,
So
bro,
very-
it's
you don't
more times
really-
than I've seen it.
You don't really want to be swinging 3 times at 0, because like we were mentioning earlier, you do really want to slow down the game at 0 to get more
Yeah.
turns in.
Unless
Whereas
you're
when you're swinging 3 times, you're accelerating the game. You're accelerating your opponent to level 1, where they can gain their advantage. Whereas if you hit 1 first, you build your board, and your opponent's
Well,
losing out.
I hear what everyone's saying. I hear it, but what about Kaguya? That's a level 0 that's really aggressive. When they're playing
is.
standby, they're playing 4, and they're a set that wants to play their standby at 1, which is very different. They're playing a far more traditional level 0.
Well, the
an
other
eight
problem
standby deck.
is that like these standby decks, because they play for the board, right? You go on low hand, even if you're attacking twice, you're on low hand, right? If you're attacking 3 times, you have no hand, right? Like that's the
Yeah, you have nothing. Yeah.
these decks like actually can't afford to be that aggressive. So not only do you put your opponent in like a better spot to counter what you're doing, but you also completely like remove all of your resources. But what I was trying to get into is like a more like nuanced like play that like involves with the 8 standby, right? With like the Cheeries, where you can like standby over them, and like when you're fishing for the good deck states, because that's what you have to do with these 8 standby decks. You have to fish for the good deck states. That's why I think like an on death Azus is probably the best thing. Like let's say you have like a 4-card deck left, right? Like after you trigger, and you trigger like your second standby for the turn, you have like a Cheery on the board. If you play over that Cheery, did you know that Encore happens? Like you get the option to both Encore your card and to use the Cheery effect at the same time. So you could like pay 3 Encore, save your Cheery, put 2 standbys back in your deck, and then like discard and mill the rest.
Yeah, you can do that.
You can do like stuff like that, right? Like so there's like definitely like you want to be like more aware of like the mechanics of the game, because everything about your deck is based around like playing.
Yeah.
I feel
Playing
like
advanced
standby
big
like the
bodies.
decks- I feel like standby decks don't
Yeah,
want to.
I mean, that's
ever. Like I feel like they
almost never. You're
Almost
right.
none.
And then, like
Almost
harping
never.
on what Dean said there
Yeah.
too is that like playing standby, the only way you make plays like that or consider plays like that is that you are aware of your deck state. You are aware of like literally everything going on in the game, and understanding that you can make these types of plays because of like weird deck scenarios like that and hand size and things like that. If you're not paying attention to those things and understanding like there's a chance that X, Y, and Z might happen, so I need to do A, B, and C to like or set up for those opportunities to like show themselves, you're never going to be really good at playing standby, right? Because it's never like it's really hard because like some people will be like, oh, you just got lucky or something like that, but it's like you have to put in that foresight to be able to set up scenarios to get lucky, basically, or to protect yourself in those scenarios.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to harp on the like 8 standby takes less skill thing from the chat, but I feel like when people get hit by that, I've been hit by that at locals before. It's like, oh, before standby was in the game, people had to actually work for their big bodies or stuff like that, and I'm just sitting there being like, this is like so much harder than like slamming climax every turn. Like, I don't know. It's very different. I feel like people get beat down by the big vanilla bodies and they feel like they got sacked or something if because they don't understand all the mechanics that goes into it.
Well, I feel like it kind of it does depend on like the meta, right? Like I feel like 8 standby into like mirrors or like high power level decks. If you're like playing into like a low power level deck that like kind of just wants to loop combo or do something like that and doesn't really fight for board, right? Like one of those older, like more traditional decks. Sometimes 8 standbys, you just don't have to do anything. You just like shit out a 2/2 and you go, sick, I won the game. Right?
Yeah.
But like I think it's like when you start getting to like definitely like higher level like play, when you start playing against like much better decks and you start to see those decks that are challenging your board, that's when stuff starts to get like really hard for the 8 standby player.
Yeah, it definitely requires a lot more thought than I think it might get the credit for, because it does feel bad when people in those situations where you put out the 2/2 and you win. Definitely feels bad for people because those cards have no text a lot of the time.
All right. I think that's basically it. Does anyone else have anything to say about playing standby in general?
I just want to tell Tony in the chat that the only 8 standby deck I have with clean cuts in it is Sal. So you're not alone. There's not very many that would want to do that anyway.
All right. Well, I think the major takeaway from this, if you want the TLDR, is that you have to put more forethought into what your deck strengths are, what the weaknesses are, and how to play around that. You don't play every deck exactly the same, and when you build a deck or copy a deck off of like some winning list, like take a second, sit back, and look at, just kind of visualize what you think the game plan is, and then you can start visualizing how certain matchups are going to be and what kind of plays you can make, and then you can build off of that. Basically, don't go into every game with any random deck thinking every deck plays exactly the same. Some decks you can get away with that and not be punished as hard, and other decks like 8 standby decks will punish you very hard for playing very incorrectly, especially earlier in the game states.
You have to be aware of like how things are working mechanically. Like Dean said, you have to like know how these interactions work. Where like you stand by over a Chiuri and like all these auto effects trigger. I actually, I thought about like writing up a whole like thing about how simultaneous auto effects resolve and stuff, because I think it's like it would be a good like mechanical like primer for stuff like that. Been kicking that one over for a bit. I have a whole term for it. I'll spoil it right now. It's the bucket. White Schwartz, like what is it? Yu-Gi-Oh has the chain, Magic has the stack. Well, White Schwartz, you got 2 buckets, and I'll reveal that at a later date. What I mean.
All right, I think that kind of closes us out. We're a little bit over an hour now of casting, so we'll just say our goodbyes here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. We'll just go down the line again, starting with Dean in the chat here.
See you guys.
Wow.
Oh, what's up?
There's one more thing.
Oh, I totally forgot.
What is going? Oh, yeah.
XD Lameo.
We have a tournament coming up in September 4th. It's going to be the JP Singles Tournament. It did get pushed back a little bit, but September 4th is the date. We're going to start sign-up soon. Depending on turnout, it may have to be 2 days, but probably not. It's going to be pretty similar to the other online tournaments. It's just going to be Swiss into Top Cut. Pricing right now is going to be TBA. And sign-ups will be going up on Facebook soon.
Yeah, there will be pricing. Top 4 for sure will get
pricing.
pricing. Anything beyond that, I'm not 100% sure yet. We're kind of like looking around, poking around, throwing ideas around, and we'll go from there. But yeah, expect that to come out. When was that again? September Yeah, so watch
September
out for signups. That's
4th.
going to be soon. And it's 100% free. I believe we said that. And yeah, singles JP, right? And yeah.
Only thing I want to say about that, if you are someone who is apprehensive about joining online events in the past, let me tell you, we got this stuff down to a science. That legacy tournament ran like butter. We got this stuff down. It's never ran smoother.
So does
I
that
hope
mean
to
I'll
see
see
everybody
seeing
come
you
out.
play at this event?
No, I will be helping judge.
I'm planning for it to be similar time to the 2012 tourney.
Yeah, that event ran very well.
I missed
so.
that tourney. I
me
was really
too.
sad.
Fuck you, Dean.
I have the best deck ever from 2012.
Oh, true.
So,
You do
like,
have a
I've
good
done
deck for
pretty well with
2012.
it.
I didn't get to play my Max for Easier no Sakaimo that I bought a long time ago. Never got to play in a tournament. So, but yeah, yep. All right.
Oh,
Well, that's our last announcement there. Once again, we'll start with Dean.
Yeah. Shout out, I guess, to Burn One. I don't know what I'm
Alright.
supposed to say here. I don't think
We're
done
doing
with
them
these
now.
closing-
All right, Cabbage, go ahead.
All right, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and
I love it.
subscribe. All right.
The good thing.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the alarm button so you get a notification every time we get a new video or cast up.
That's right.
Bookmark this video.
Follow us on Twitter at www.twitter.com/burn1tcg.
All right, and that was Dan, obviously, and then this, and this. All right.
You're the spaghetti.
Wow, this is the.
There's like
Oh my god,
Screaming
the
out of my
spaghetti.
pockets.
All right. Yep, this is Kit. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully, we're gonna get more back on track with our content creation. Next thing coming up is King of the Hill. Dean is the current champion on Friday. He's gonna be forced to play online Weiss again. We'll probably have signups day of, I think, or that should be fine, right? Or you guys think we should?
We'll throw up the signups today.
Yeah.
It'll be in the Burn One Discord, and I'll probably make a post on Facebook Global page as well. So be sure to sign up. We will reach out to you before, like, the day of the cast or the day before, to confirm that you can still play. So if you're not sure about it, just feel free, throw your name in, and
Yeah, the first few
we'll
were
figure
super
it out.
scuffed because I basically handled everything, and I'm a piece of shit when it comes to handling some projects that I don't have time to do sometimes. But I think Dan, for the most part, is spearheading it. I mean, we're probably all kind of
Yeah.
working on it at this point then. But Dan is probably definitely more in charge, so we'll have things more organized going forward. And yeah, Nico?
Yo, Jacko's the next DLC character for Guilty
Oh
Gear
yeah, now
Strive.
you gotta
Everybody
play.
get
You
on
gotta
that.
play now, Nico.
I
You know,
I
I
saw
know
the
I'll be
trailer on my way
practicing
home,
that.
and I was like, "You're
Can't
screwed."
wait to play a MOBA.
How do you have time for that when you've been playing Shadowverse?
Oh
on the
yeah, I heard you
Switch?
got that game.
You're not
Wait,
wrong.
did you get it too, Nico?
Paid $50.
That game is so
I
Is it
bad.
actual bullshit? Does people have superpowers?
played single
No.
player Shadowverse.
It's so good. It has an 8 out of 10 on Metacritic.
Oh, do we get Daria then? Was Daria in the first three sets? Hell yeah. I don't want to be a League of Legends tower. All right. Carmen? Oh shit. Lost? You can't hear them anymore? What is this shit? 1 second. How did this happen? Let's see. All right.
I can't believe we lost it.
I think we're back up. So just do your closing
Okay.
statement again, Carmen.
Okay. Over on the PGHY Shorts channel, if you want to hear people review Seven Deadly Sins, Dean and I were on that. You can hear Dean and Andy fight for way too long about cards, which is always a good time. Other than that, I am going to write this simultaneous auto effects article at some point when I find the time. People need to know about the bucket. It'll help you. It's a good way to show how people should resolve simultaneous auto effects. So I guess you can look forward to that. I am going to make something for that. So.
All right, awesome. Yeah, with that, check us out here next week, Sundays. From now on, we're doing casts every Sunday, unless, like, I don't know, World ends or something, or we all become too lazy again. And we should be having a Symphogear thing coming out, mostly about the Kirika Shirabe package. Nico and I are doing it, and we might have someone else on there as well. I'm not sure the exact date that's coming out, but hopefully maybe sometime this week. I'm not really sure. And then, crap, was there something else? I feel like I said something else earlier for a video that was coming out. I don't know. I'm probably going to do Mushoku, some Mushoku video will probably come out about my thoughts on Mushoku and stuff, because I've been tinkering with it a lot and been doing a lot of like thoughts about the deck and stuff.
No.
Other than that, does anyone else have any content they're going to be jumping soon?
Yeah, I'm gonna force myself to probably do it tonight, but I do want to do Adventure Time in the current meta and like where it stands. It's something I've been meaning to do. The English Shop League being re-announced means I think it's like the perfect time to do it. I don't know if people like care about Adventure Time right now, right? There's like a bunch of other stuff coming out in English, but it's like a set that I feel like needs to be looked at again. So
yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that because I think I think Adventure Time is like slightly slept on a little bit more than it should be. Other than that, guys, we'll see you guys next week. Later.